Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host,
Gab.
and with our three-time guest. I think that's the most.
My name is Kyle Naranya. Do I get a special coat like SNL?
No, that's
Oh.
5.
Only 5? Okay.
He'll be there in a month. we can't get Kyle's he starts the streams now. He runs
Kyle
our
lives
Zooms.
in Dylan's closet, actually, and so when he comes out occasionally, sorry, I didn't mean to say, I literally in my head I was like, you just said closet, don't say come out, don't say come out, and then I did.
He lives in there. It's very awkward when I'm changing, but otherwise
I just look
don't
in the
care.
corner. We've made it work. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right, we took a quick detour there. Kyle is from the Film Realist podcast, the podcast that is by a nobody, but hopefully for somebody. Was I
very,
accurate
very
there?
close. The Film Realist podcast. Oh, God. Now you've messed me up, Dylan. The Film and TV podcast from a complete nobody that is hopefully for somebody.
Love it.
I used that. I feel like you brought it up that I used that in an episode. Yeah, you did offline, and I was like, I love it. I think it's very clever.
Yeah, it's it was your episode with Mark Aquino, I think.
Wally. Yes.
Yeah,
Wally.
Yeah. I'm glad I wasn't on that one. I don't think we would have been friends after that.
You hate Wally too?
I don't hate it. It's just, for me, it's very briefly, because I know we got into a lot of Disney stuff on the last episode I was on, which is Pixar has managed a really perfect balance between the zany comical stuff and then the heartwarming, like emotional centerpiece of their storytelling. Like, look at all of the successes they've had. Inside Out, I think as of yesterday, is their highest grossing film of all time, which manages to do that. For me, Wall-E is really inconsistent with that. So it's probably, I wouldn't say it's bottom 3, but it's probably in bottom 5 of Pixar films for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel that.
I mean, it's a cartoon. So
I'm
I
shocked
was
by
like,
that.
oh, a cartoon. What's Gab going to think of this one? So,
Well, I kind of feel like this is live action, but I fear that Gab will think of it like
Perhaps.
a cartoon. We're talking about, if you haven't seen the title already, the 1990 live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Cowabunga.
Heroes
we're
in a
not doing
Half
Mutant Mayhem. I watched the wrong movie.
Shell. Don't mess with me, because I had to ask you like 3 times. I was like, what movie?
Corey
which
kept
one
saying
are you
mutant
watching?
mayhem or ooze, something about ooze.
The Secret of the Ooze.
Secret of the
Yeah,
Ooze.
I was like, when are they going to start oozing? But
Go Ninja, go Ninja,
Yep.
go.
yeah,
It's from the second movie. It's Vanilla Ice in the
it's
second
really
movie.
rude that you would continue to reference movies I haven't seen. So if you could, please, can we stick to the movie that I can contribute to? Thank you so much.
I feel like that should be a shirt. You went a little too long, but I feel like it's a shirt. Stop referencing movies I
Oh,
haven't
that's
seen.
a good idea.
And then
I
on the
like it.
Also,
on
see
the
more
back,
movies.
I only have so many to watch before I die.
That's
Oh.
good. All right, the merch
You've done
You
it
can-
again,
the
Kyle.
store is opening.
You can have that for free.
Wow,
There you go.
so good.
You can keep living in the closet. Now.
It's
Thank you.
hot in here. I have to turn off the AC so it's not picked up on my microphone. Whew.
Oh, yikes. Okay, so I watched the Turtle movie.
Well, I feel like you want me to ask you what it's about, Gab, but I don't care what you think it's about. Kyle's the guest, so I'm
Okay,
asking
fine,
him what's
Kyle.
it about.
What's the Turtle movie about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Well, the Turtle movie is about teenagers who have mutated into ninja turtles. And it's funny. This was my first introduction to this brand ever. Like, I had cousins who watched the 80s show, and I saw that after the fact, which I think your first introduction to franchises like this really colors how you look at the rest of it. So this one is pretty much an adaptation of the first, I think it's 5 comics, which is how this got initially pitched. And so the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles exist in a grimy New York, where the Foot Clan has slowly infiltrated all sorts of businesses, and thievery and VHS players are being stolen. And man, that's so dated.
A little bit.
Yeah, it just took 10 years later. They're going to be still stealing the same things in The Fast and the Furious. And in April O'Neil is an investigative reporter, news journalist, and she is investigating this potential Foot Clan. And what's the happenings on with going on with this. And because of this, she winds up being saved by one of the turtles. Dylan, do you remember which one it was? It
Raphael.
was. And she kind of gets enveloped into their world. And we learn the origins of the turtles. Ooze was involved. And we get the first real interactions between all of these major characters. Casey Jones doing the New York accent I think I've ever heard. I'll let you two be the judges of that because obviously I don't hear it every day. And we see Battle with the Shredder to and from, and it ends in a pretty hilarious yet epic conclusion. I don't know how many spoilers you want, so maybe we'll stop there.
Yeah, we'll spoil more when we go further into our description, but I don't think you're going to match that well with the IMDb plot summary because you were much more descriptive than they
perfect.
are. 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles emerge from the shadows to protect New York City from a gang of criminal ninjas, which is the most basic description.
But
you
here's
could
the
give.
thing. Is it criminal ninjas or is it criminal children? Because I would argue it's criminal children.
They're child ninjas, like child soldiers. This is like Coney 2012, but for the Ninja Turtles.
They train.
Yeah.
They have a gym where they beat each other up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they have a master who beats the shit out of them if they're not ninjaing well enough.
Right. Do you guys remember Fruit Ninja?
Yeah.
Of course.
That was a great time. What happened?
So that's it. You didn't have any connection there. That was you just naming it.
The
was what you were
words
going
are
with
all
there,
the
huh?
association was.
Fruit Ninja.
Okay.
I feel like that was what other ninja association do you have, Dill?
Was there a Fruit Ninja Vanilla Ice like marketing campaign? Because if they never did Fruit Ninja Go, then what was the point?
That might still be too close to copyright infringement, and I think Vanilla Ice definitely doesn't want to ever get too close to copyright
No, but if
infringement.
he
again.
does it for himself, that's my point, because he was in one of the Michael Bay Platinum Dune produced live action turtle films. I think he's in the second one.
Oh boy.
Out of the shadows.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think has a cameo in that one.
I would believe it.
Vanilla Ice.
Want to hear some
No.
taglines? Well, Kyle wants to, so I'm
Fine.
going to do it anyway, Gab. I would have listened to you this time,
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm
all
not
right.
going to.
It's guest decides.
There's a lot of them, and they're all fine. Heroes in a half shell.
I kept saying turtles in a half shell, and Corey was like, "Nope."
You're close.
Also, what? How is it a half shell? Why isn't it a full shell? They're in a full shell.
Their chests aren't.
Yes,
shells.
it is. That's part of the shell.
It is a softer material, but yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. They're in a full shell. I don't know why it's half. It sounds better than Heroes in a full shell.
It sounds.
Yeah. But if you get oysters in a half shell, it's literally just the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that just feels inaccurate.
Also, people don't realize that turtles are not like inside the shell. The shell is their body. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think I knew that.
I don't know how it works for these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course. But
Yeah. All right.
that was not a tagline. That was just me
Okay.
talking.
Imagine that was the tagline. I don't know how it works with these Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Lean, green, and on the screen.
Nope.
I'm going through the lyrics. I was
Kyle,
going
you
through
okay?
the lyrics in my head of the original because it's interestingly enough, like from the cartoon, not in the film. It's on the album, but it doesn't happen in the movie. Like the song everyone knows.
Yeah,
it's not in the
Teenage
film.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Huh.
Which was famously written by Chuck Lorre, who was the showrunner for 2.5 Men and a bunch of other
Wow.
big time shows. Big Bang
Yeah.
Theory, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever the cat one is, Call Me Cat. Is that the one that's on now?
Cat. Yeah.
don't know.
The one where with the girl with the giant boobs.
I think you're thinking of Night Court.
No,
No,
I'm thinking of the movie
the
with.
blonde.
No, hold on. What? How am I gonna find this if I Google?
I want no
I'm
part of this
thinking
shit,
of
man.
Two Broke Girls, which is a show starring Kat Dennings, who is who I'm thinking of, the girl with the big boobs. Kat Dennings.
Okay, she's also from Thor and I think a bunch of other stuff, but
Kat Dennings, I thought that's who you're talking about. Kat was present
This was much better than your Fruit Ninja
Thank
connection.
you.
Yes.
Do you ever feel, this is a genuine question, do you feel like the older you get, the less your brain works? Because I used to know every lyric to every song, and now I'm like, God, what's the name of that girl? God, she's the daughter of my dad's brother. I used to see her all the time. What's her name again? I can't think of anything anymore.
Yeah, that's not a feeling. That's just happening to you.
Is it happening to you too?
That's what that is. Yes. It's just called aging. We're all dying every
God.
day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending your remaining time listening
This
to
has
this
been Movies
podcast.
Watch Before You Die. We'll see you next time.
If you're not
Okay.
dead.
Keep going with the taglines, please.
There's so many more. Please. They're mean, green, and on the
Okay.
screen. This ain't no cartoon.
Okay.
That was a big deal at the
Lean,
time.
green, and on the screen everywhere.
Just so we're clear.
The ooze, it's everywhere. That should have been the
from
tagline.
Grandma Doris.
The ooze is in my eyes. Oh, God. And then the final tagline, hey, dude, this is no cartoon.
Oh my God. So I'm assuming the fact that these were grown men in turtle costumes was groundbreaking at the time.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I'm sure Dill has some of this stuff in Triv, so I'm just gonna stop because if it's not addressed, we can address it later.
Okay, cool.
That's good.
Whew.
If we want to get into more description of the story, Kyle, do you feel like should I have Gab do that? Do you want to give us this more spoiler? Oh, I put her on the spot. She just made a face like,
don't make me say it.
I mean, I can. It's yeah. This was, I'm sure, growing up, and it's perhaps the genesis for you two for this lovely podcast, which is the VHSs or clamshells you had growing up that got used a lot, right? Like, what did you watch frequently? Sometimes those hold up, sometimes they don't. And this movie, for me, the irony is I didn't own it. My uncle owned this because he was. So shout out to Simon. He's not listening to this, but that's okay. I hung out with him and my aunt quite a bit when I was super little. I was like their test child. And he had this VHS tape and I watched it all the time. I could probably go through the whole thing, but for memory. So when I watched it yesterday, and I'm glad I remembered to watch it yesterday till I got the phone notification yesterday. And it's surprisingly mature. I think it actually has some funny connective tissue to when we talked about Great Mouse Detective. Like them pitching this as this is not the colorful cartoon like that sold all the toys, which was what every 80s show was for or cartoon was for. That this is much more, it has tonally, it's much more similar to the graphic novels, which in their own creation were a parody of Daredevil comics at the time, which I think is hilarious, and I can't wait to get into it later. But this film was made as an independent film. It wasn't, oh, everyone's making a superhero movie. You made a Batman, you made a Superman. Like, this brand has always kind of been fighting for attention.
Was that your New York?
I don't know what it was. I mean, I could do it in my Michelangelo, but you'll probably get tired of it by the end of it. So we're watching this movie in April. She shows up. She's on the news. Cowabunga.
Oh my God. No more of that for sure.
That's what
I think you would have gotten tired of that much sooner than I would have.
Impressive nonetheless.
Lots of practice. It helps having children because I get to demo all these things right now, even more so. And so we're introduced to the world kind of slowly, which I appreciate. It's not like, boom, look, ninjas, and they're doing stuff. It's a much more methodical in that nature. We're introduced to April, the seedy underbelly of New York, which I'm sure was probably relevant at the time. Like New York in 1990, I'm assuming wasn't cleaned up like it has been more relatively recently.
Absolutely.
And
we were fortunate to survive.
There you go, right? And then as we get to see the different layers of the world, first of all, the fact that these are practical turtle suits, I think makes it's an achievement on its own, and we'll get into who was involved with making them, which is one of my favorite movie trivia facts of all time because it's so random.
Was it the real Michelangelo?
Pretty much close to.
It.
He did love green.
Oh my God.
And so as we are introduced to the turtles and their world, their origin story is given, which is the one from the comics, which is the one I have always appreciated.
Sorry, I'm just fucking with Dylan.
No worries. And so Hamato Yoshi owned a rat named. Actually, we're never actually told if his name was Splinter.
Yeah, I don't think his name was Splinter, but I really like what they do with Splinter's origin here.
So he's a rat, and I mean, I'm terrified of rodents. I'm not afraid to admit it. Absolutely terrified. Like when you told that rat story on the first no, was it the second whichever one it was, it must have been Grey Mouse Detective. I would have just been like, it's over. I'm done. It doesn't matter anymore. So I'm glad that happened to you and not to me. And
bad.
So
we were actually just in Long Island City with my niece and nephew were visiting from the West Coast, and we happened to be down by the water and a rat scurried by us, and my wife positioned my niece in front of her as a human shield from the rat.
They're not, here's the thing. In New York City, at least, rats really only come out at night for the most part. That's really when you see them. And to me, like, they're just night squirrels.
Only the club rats.
Yeah. They're just night squirrels. Like, it's a squirrel is a rat, is a squirrel is a rat. It just depends on whether or not the sun is up. It's fine.
It's the bushy tail. The bushy tail makes squirrels okay.
Yeah, but rats have giant testicles. Did we talk about that?
You shared it in the chat.
You showed us a photo.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Do that again.
Are you sure you want to see it again?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Fortunately, Splinter's origin.
So
Splinter's lack of balls really upset me.
We don't know that. He's wearing
you don't know what he's packing under the robe
the whole time.
Fine.
It's in the R-rated cut where April's like, "My God, did you see his testicles?"
Is it Kermit the Frog?
What?
You said he loves green.
Who loves green?
I don't know.
We'll get to it. I don't want to ruin anything.
You said Michelangelo loved green.
Is it Kermit the Frog?
She's like 10 minutes back.
Well, that's why I was counting on my fingers. Like, who loves green? Who made these costumes that loves green? I thought maybe it was the guy that made Kermit the Frog. All right, listen. I did my best.
We'll get there, Gab. We're trying to talk about we're doing a terrible job. Every time Kyle comes on, he distracts us.
I'm sorry.
Did you notice I have green and orange as my color lights? I did it on purpose.
Yeah, they're cool.
Okay, so Hamato Yoshi.
So Hamato Yoshi, this was one detail I always try to listen for, and I'm sure I miss it. I can't remember if they were in Japan. Typically, that is the location of the origin. They're in Japan. There are clans, and Hamato Yoshi was of one. And the reason I brought up rats before is they're actually quite smart. This one could do choreography of ninjutsu. Sure, why not? And is eventually killed by the Shredder. It's typically over a woman, but I don't think she's mentioned in this.
No, she is.
She is. They mentioned that she's the reason to get away from Shredder. They moved to New York.
And they're found by the Foot Clan. He dies. Splinter escapes, but not before scratching Oroko Saki's face. And he winds...
Who is the Shredder?
He winds up in the sewers. The ooze shows up, made by TCRI. You might find out the secret of that in the sequel.
Whoa.
And wow. It's so bad. The sequel is so bad. It gets gradually worse, like most franchises from this time period.
Fair.
And the third one, they go to Japan, feudal Japan. And so we learn their origins of there. I love the fact that April is an adult in this one. It makes a big difference. I think it kind of helps center everybody. Like when she's typically, or in the 80s, she was just this busty news reporter who was kind of just the damsel in distress. And then this first version is actually quite independent. She thinks she's having a panic attack. Does she say is it David Hasselhoff she wishes she was dreaming of? It's somebody famous of this era. No.
I do not remember that.
Harrison Ford. There we go. Connection. If you haven't listened to the first episode of this podcast, go to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Don't, please. We didn't know
we were fucking better than we do.
And so we see the turtles and how they interact with the world. Pizza Dude's got 3 minutes. And it's Domino's pizza in this one. It's different pizzas throughout the...
I have a real fucking hard bone to pick with that, but we can discuss that.
The fact that they're not getting like an actual pizzeria's pizza.
I cannot.
You got to get past it, Gav. It's a movie. It was product placement.
It's not.
Do you want it to be like Leo's? Or it couldn't be Leo. Be like Uncle Tony's Pizzeria.
Yeah, the local fucking pizzeria from wherever were they? Like the Lower East Side.
It should be the famous New York pizza spot.
Yeah, exactly. Or oh God, what's the other one? Whatever. I don't know. I can't think of it.
Papa John's?
Here's
Pizza
the
Hut?
thing.
It's Pizza Hut
Little
in the live
Caesars?
action ones.
It's just that
It's also Pizza Hut actually had like a $30 million campaign going on with the timing of
It
this
was
do you
movie.
remember, Dylan? There was a summer when we were really young. Remember the Pizza Hut on Hempstead Turnpike near where I lived? There was like,
Yes.
I remember there was like a Jaws thing going on with Pizza Hut where if you ordered a large pie, you got like a toy Jaws. And I fucking wanted that Jaws so bad. And my dad was like, A, you don't even like Jaws. You don't even know what Jaws is. B, I still haven't seen it. B, we're not eating fucking Pizza Hut. We live in New York and I'm not eating that trash. If you want pizza, we'll get real pizza. And I was never allowed to eat Domino's, Papa John's, any of that. Pizza Hut, nothing.
Sometimes you want fast food pizza. Once in a while you're like, it's like if I go to McDonald's for a cheeseburger, it's not because I don't know it's not the best cheeseburger in the world. Sometimes I just want that processed
But I
trash
would argue that
cheeseburger.
McDonald's is a good cheeseburger. No? Oh my God. Speaking of it, then
Well, that's how I know you haven't had fast food
Yeah.
in like 10 years, Gab. You shut your mouth. I'm the subject matter expert
fine,
on this
fine,
one,
fine.
not you.
The other day, I was walking down the street and I, when you smell Burger King, like it's unmistakable. So I was walking
It's
down
like
the
a
street.
wet paper bag.
It's like the unmistakable smell of char grilled burger, like flame broiled burger. Anyway, there was no Burger King in sight, but the smell of it awakened something in me. And it reminded me of, because you used to live around the corner from a Burger King. And when we would drive to your house in the summer with the windows down, you would smell the Burger King. And that's how I knew we were close. And I smelled it and I was like, Zach and Dylan's house. And it just woke something in me that was locked away for 20 years. I just want you to know that.
I love Kyla how her eyeballs didn't tell her that she was close to her cousin's house. She was like, she just kept her eyes shut like she was Daredevil the entire time and
I was like,
smelled her way.
She is the Gab without fear.
Yeah.
I was probably face first in a Game Boy.
Oh, can we talk about how bad it
Alright.
was at nighttime? You just have to be waiting to drive past a street light. You're like, oh, I can see.
Well, you would turn on the light in the car, and I feel like every dad in the car, which as an adult now, I'm like, it's not that bad. Why was this such a big deal to all
Not
of
that
you
bad.
that I had the light on in the back seat?
I think
Get
for
over it.
when we were children, it was an incandescent bulb, which was like just his whole thing. It makes the car hotter. It's not like it wasn't an LED. There's no way it was.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's a
That's
fair
fine.
point.
Maybe, I don't know.
God bless
Yeah.
technology.
All right. So the turtles and the ooze and the Japanese rat.
Yes. And so we get a little bit of time with the turtles establishing what their world is like. Donatello likes to skateboard. We sort of get little bits of their personality. Leo's the leader, Raph is the dickhead, Mikey's the party dude, and Donnie does machines. And then at the same time, the human side, we get to see that this is the weirdest relationship. And to me, this is kind of the epitome of this era of storytelling in terms of film, where it's like Doc Brown shouldn't be friends with Marty, and then April O'Neil's boss, there's no romantic relationship whatsoever, or there was, but now there's not. He keeps bringing his son over to her house because Danny eventually gets involved with the Foot Clan.
It's because his son's
He
a
is-
troublemaker and he has to drop him off at school. So he's going to see April before he drops
So
him off at school.
inappropriate.
My boss doesn't come to my house to make sure I'm coming to work in the morning. Like, no thanks.
No
Super
thanks.
weird.
Well, you also don't hang out with any mutated ninja turtles.
You don't know
so,
that.
we
I
can
live
get
in
past that.
Canada. Things are different here.
True.
I used to live
That's true.
I
don't
used to
know.
live, no word of a lie, 15 minutes from a nuclear power plant. So I could have a fourth arm that's just behind me. We don't know.
A fourth. So
fourth,
you have three. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we get to see how Danny slowly is involved, and we get to see a young Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Like,
Academy Award winner Sam Rockwell as
this may be the only movie he doesn't dance in.
Oh.
in Charlie's Angels when he danced. I thought he was the coolest motherfucker on the planet.
He's awesome. Anyways, I was gonna go a tangent about the Marvel universe, why they haven't brought him back. So we get to see the organization of the Foot Clan. We get his name's not Han, Tatso. One of the best, like, second in command characters in this like 80s onward to late 90s, so I'll give it 20 years. He doesn't speak. He just the whole movie.
A lot of
You know?
grunting.
A lot of grunting.
Yeah, this ain't opinion time, so I'm not going to say my thoughts on
Child,
that. But let's keep moving.
child
That's my thoughts
endangerment
on that.
ensues, and April consistently is finding out more about the Foot Clan. Her producer boss guy doesn't understand the relationship is over, wants her to stop. The police captain, who is very of this era, is like, stop it, doesn't want her involved. And we see eventually they follow Danny to see what's going on. They have a fight in April's former parents' like pawn shop area.
Her former
He
parents.
lives above the
Yeah.
antique store that was
Yep.
her dad's. Her dad is deceased, but she keeps the antique store
Yes.
open out of the memory.
And Leo is nearly killed in the No, it's Raphael.
No.
Sorry. It's Leo in the comic and every version of this. This is one of the changes. And so Raph which does kind of fit with his character, like him being I'm angry and I do everything on my own. I skipped past one of my favorite scenes, which is the altercation between him and Casey Jones, where they just, a Jose Canseco bat? Tell me you didn't pay
Tell
for
me you did not pay for this.
Are we gonna ignore the fact that Gab is a floating head and hands?
Yeah, Gab has the blur thing on, so it's blurring everything.
I just needed to lay down for a second. I'm sorry.
This is when you need video just for that.
Gab's like, get to the opinions.
I need to lay down or else my opinions will start oozing out of my eyes.
And so they go to Casey Jones' family farm, heal up. They see a Force ghost, Splinter. They go back to New York.
You also have to mention Splinter has been captured.
Yes, he's
by
been
the Foot Clan.
captured, and then they reunite as a brotherhood, quite literally. They go, they fight, they get their asses handed to them by the Shredder, and who shows up but Master Splinter, who defeats him with a nunchuck, throws him into a dumpster, and then Casey Jones goes, oops, and he gets shredded in the dumpster.
I wrote down, did he just oopsie a murder?
Manslaughter, maybe.
That's a murder.
And they yell cowabunga after Splinter says, I'm not going to do the accent. I technically would be allowed, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I can. But they yell.
It's a rat accent.
rat
I don't know
accent.
what you're talking about.
And they say cowabunga for the first time in the film. And then it plays a Heroes in a Half Shell song. It's like, I'm the power.
It's like a rap that was done.
1,000% was for sure.
There's actually the more recent Ninja Turtles movie had a song that oh my
Shell
god,
Shock.
Shell Shock. It's so good. Knock,
I know.
knock, you about to get shell shocked.
Boom, that's my plan. We hold them down forever. Busting
It's
through the world
so
can battle
good.
whoever. Together ain't no way
I've
we
seen the
gon'
movie a
fail.
couple times, but I did not memorize.
You
the
know I
song.
got your back just like a turtle shell. I
It's like-
know more, but I'll stop.
Yeah, thank you. It's so good though. Knock,
Yeah, it
knock,
was
you
Wiz
about to get
Khalifa.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question,
Oh.
Kyle. Where do you
Yes.
stand on the Drake versus thank you.
Kendrick?
I'm like, why can't I think of his name? On the Drake versus Kendrick.
This
As
is
a
gonna
Canadian.
Yeah, I know. This is gonna be blasphemic, but so obviously Canadian, that's like if you're describing a person, that's like the S tier part of my personality. But second is probably like sports fandom. And Drake is such a jock sniffer. Like he's like, oh, I'm with the Raptors when they're gonna win a championship, but oh, they're trash now and I'm gonna disappear. So and he'll be
Yeah.
and I don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of different recording artists perform. When you're in the city, you're like, yeah, love it. Rory McIlroy, the golfer. Anytime he's up for the Canadian Open, if there's a Canadian team doing well, he'll like rep that jersey. He did it for the Raptors. He did it for the Edmonton Oilers recently for hockey. And so I've never been a Drake fan. To me, he'll always be the kid in a wheelchair in Degrassi. So I like Kendrick better. So I side with Kendrick on this one.
I
also like that Kyle just admitted he's more Canada than man.
I was very much more of a Drake fan than a Kendrick fan until the first time my ears bore witness to wop, 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 that fuck him up. And I was like, it's the best song I've ever heard in my entire life. And now I continue to refer to somebody, like if somebody is damaged in some way, or if they're attacked, I'm like, wow, he really got wop, 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 whopped. And I will say this, it happened for me in the Ninja Turtles when Splinter was tied up, and I was like, damn, he started bleeding. I was like, he got wop, 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 whopped. For sure.
This also makes me think of Mutant Mayhem, which has I've rewatched this scene a
Wait,
million
I
times.
know exactly what you're gonna
They keep
say.
mentioning I think I told you about this before, when they keep mentioning the word mollywopping, and then Superfly is beating him up, and he goes, "Oh no, he's mollywopping me."
Corey will say that shit. He'll be like, if we're doing something with a heavy barbell, he'll be like, I'm about to get mollywopped.
Yeah, that shit stands out to me.
Did you
real
like
hard.
Mutant Mayhem?
I loved it. I will not say if I liked it more or
I
less
thought
than
it was
this movie.
okay.
Can we?
Okay.
Can we? And I understand that I'm the culprit of derailing us, but can we get to opinion time now? I'm bursting
Of
at the seams.
course.
In this critic's opinion,
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
Why did they have to eat Domino's?
Oh my! So you're real
very
hung up on that,
this.
huh? For
Actually,
money, for
okay,
money, Gab.
Okay,
Also, did a Domino's pizza really cost like $10 at
You want me
the
to
time?
look it up?
please.
I think it's
I'll look it up.
it's not cool that they don't tip the guy though. Not cool.
Yes.
Although, how do they get money?
The turtles?
Everything
Yeah.
gets flushed down the sewers, so I'm assuming somebody's like jeans went down with.
Oh God.
We've all put on a coat, a pair of pants, and you're like, oh shit, a 20. Like
Yeah.
that happens, right? So
Well, now I'm just picturing them pulling coins out of turn. It's like, how many baby swallowed quarters?
Yeah,
this
maybe.
week?
Could be. I just want to show these are my notes for this movie. I have two.
So it's just it looked like
No,
it
it's
was
two.
one. So is the note just Domino's?
The second note on my list is they ordered, and then in all caps, Domino's.
Wait, what's the first one?
Well, that's a different point. Can I get to that now while Kyle is looking this up, or does he have the answer?
He doesn't have the answer. You can get to it.
Okay. So my first and only other point was she's a New Yorker and she's that afraid of a rat. I mean, fucking hell. I see rats, at least 10 to 15 rats every day.
Oh, that's not that ridiculous though. People have phobias.
Now you can't have that's like being like, oh, I'm afraid of trees, but I live in fucking the Adirondacks. It's like, well, then go move to Nevada.
There's probably somebody out there who's afraid of trees who lives in the Adirondacks. I don't know, Gab. Again, if these were the only two notes you took down, you watched this entire fucking movie.
Well,
and that's
I
what you wrote
stopped
down.
writing because I got really into it.
Well, that's good at
Oh.
least. That's a lot better than, well, I didn't care about anything
I
else.
do have other thoughts though. Actually,
Okay.
Corey just walked in the house. He said something today while we were at the gym that made me laugh so hard I snorted, but I don't recall exactly what it was verbatim. So I'm going to text him and have him text it to me so that I can tell you guys what it was that he said.
perfect. Okay. So according to Wiki Answer, in 1989, a 10-inch sausage pizza was about $6.50, but using other movie math, each individual pizza in Home Alone, which also came out in 1990, were $12. So it's probably right, $10.
Well, Home Alone, they also got actual like pizza. They didn't get like fast food pizza.
He's Canadian. He doesn't know the difference.
They're in white boxes. Like what?
I know.
Do we
Dylan,
know
this
where
is
they're
the
from?
blasphemy.
In Home Alone, Chicago.
Yeah, but where? Yeah,
Pretty
but
sure.
that doesn't necessarily. They're Little Nero's Pizza, which is a parody of Little Caesars. So fast food pizza.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right. We have to get past these pizza things. They love pizza. They would have loved a regular pizza from, Rose's Pizza. I don't care which pizza place. Famous Ray's, Original Ray's,
Ray's
Famous
makes
famous Original
fillets,
Ray's. They would have loved any one of
obviously.
those.
Sawyer has
Ray
the
fillet.
Mutant Mayhem turtle wagon, and it shoots pizzas.
I don't know what you just said.
What? The turtle wagon.
I'm going to be honest. My only real exposure to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is this movie. And
Which
Mutant
is
Mayhem.
crazy because, Kyle, let me tell you a little fun fact about Dylan.
All
When
right,
we
go.
were kids growing up, Dylan's bedroom was full blown, from the wallpaper to the bed sheets to the toys on the shelf. It was 10 out of 10, top to bottom, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I feel like that's a slight exaggeration, but I did have a giant shredder on my wall, and I did have a giant, I want to say it was Leonardo sticker.
Yeah.
Like a vinyl?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was like a foot.
It's sort of like those fat heads that they have now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? But it was obviously much like lesser quality.
But his walls, I think they were purple, right? Wasn't the room purple?
No, the room was
No, the room was purple. So the sheets were purple. Something was purple.
You think you know better than I do? I slept there where I played.
Anyone
with my
who's
toys.
ever listened to this podcast knows you do not remember anything from your childhood. So yes, there's a possibility that I
She
know
makes a
better
fair
than
point
you.
because she mentioned the bed sheets, and I was like, I don't know.
You had because I remember being like, it's weird that, you know, you always wanted to like watch this or watch that or watch Terminator, but like your room was decked in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you never wanted to watch them.
I grew up loving this movie. And this movie, like, there's a lot of scenes from this movie that I know really well. And I've said the story on this podcast before that when it came time for the SATs and I had to write an essay about mentorship, God. I just struggled to think of things. And the two things I came up with were Willie Mays is the godfather of Barry Bonds. And I went, and Splinter as a mentor for the Ninja Turtles. And you know what? I did much better on that SAT essay than they thought I was going to do. I'll sum it up because I said the long version last time, but my brother thought I was a fucking idiot. He said, you definitely bombed that shit. It was graded out of 12. I said, I bet you I got a 10 out of 12 at least. And he agreed to that bet. He agreed that if I was correct, I would kick him in the nuts. The results came. 10 out of 12, Kyle. 10 out of 12. I went upstairs. I put on my steel toe boots. I was ready to roll. And he gave me like $200 worth of gift cards to not do it.
What's an SAT?
Oh my God.
I know what it is. I know what it is. We don't have them, but I know what it is.
Wow. Dylan, what did you get on your SAT? I know we talked about this once.
I took it 4 times. So I think my worst was like out of 1,600 or out of 2,400.
You took it.
I don't remember.
I got an 1850. I took it one time, motherfucker. One time. My mom was like, you're not going to get any smarter.
I took it once. That's okay. I took it once in the 10th grade because I'm pretty sure my guidance counselor thought I was my older brother.
He definitely did.
He was very old and he was just like, I don't know. You're old enough. Yeah, go ahead. I hadn't even taken a PSAT yet or practiced one. So I was like, oh,
okay. Traumatizing. All right. Okay. So I want to share my one other thought. And this was Corey's thought, actually. We were having a discussion today about, oh God, how do I not sound really old? So I'll give you some context.
We're 3 millennials. It's like you could just, for us, it's going to be, this is now. We're in our 30s. Yeah,
it's fine. Okay, good. So I told you I was coaching classes this morning, and one of my classes is just moms. It's just straight up the 8:30 a.m. It's just moms, and one of the moms has a daughter who is 16, and in wealthy Upper West Side New York City, it is super common for parents of all religions, because at one point I thought this was just a Jewish thing, but apparently it's like everybody. They send their kids to camp for like 9 weeks, and the kids go to sleepaway camp, and the parents just don't shut the fuck up about how happy they are that their stupid little fucking kids are gone. And it's crazy to me because my mom used to be like, what do you mean you're leaving? Don't you want to hang out with me? I want to hang out with you. And these parents are like, my fucking little prick kids are gone. I'm so happy. It's very bizarre. But anyway, I digress. So this one mom is talking to me, and she like takes out her phone just to look at it, and she goes, oh my God, camp has called me 6 times. And I'm like, oh, and her daughter is 16, and I trained her once or twice covering for another trainer who was on vacation. So I've met this daughter, and the daughter was telling me all about camp and all about how they sneak into the woods to smoke pot and blah, 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 and whatever. So I'm like, oh, camp called? Interesting. So the mom calls her husband and finds out that the daughter has been kicked out of camp. They have to drive up to whatever fucking boon ass fucking town she's in to go pick her up. They're not getting their money back, and she is in hot water. So for the rest of the summer, she's like, she's going to have to get a job. We're taking her phone away. She's like freaking out. But Corey and I were talking about this, and he was like, I don't want to sound like that person, but like, where are the parents? Like, on what planet are these kids getting sent away somewhere where they're obviously mature enough to like live on their own, so to speak, but can't follow basic fucking rules? And like, we were talking about how when I was a kid, if I would have, if that happened to me, if I was at camp and got kicked out and they were calling my parents and saying, come pick her up, and by the way, you're not getting your money back, I don't think there would have been any other out for me but suicide. Like, I think I would have legitimately killed myself so that I didn't have to face the wrath of my parents. And we were talking about, that, and how kids aren't like scared of their parents, and they have TikTok, and they're just like exposed to all of this shit and just get in trouble, and they like do things for clout, and they don't care because you can't really punish them because what they want is not tangible, right? Like, they can go on the internet on their computer or whatever. Like, they have access. You can't really take it away. And Corey said, and I quote, when kids don't have good role models, they pick bad ones, like some asshole walking around dressed like a can opener, in reference to Shredder.
Way to reel that back in, Gab. Way to
But
go.
honestly, though, because this kid, Danny or whatever, his dad is a fucking prick and he doesn't have a role model. So he ends up falling into this cult run by a guy dressed like a can opener.
But he sounds so
I
cool.
guess so. Anyway, I'm going to lay back down. So go ahead.
I will say, it's such a non sequitur, but that's all this podcast
Yeah.
is apparently now. I was talking about my niece and nephew, and it makes me think of them. They each visited individually over the course of like a year one time. So when my nephew came, he got in trouble because his mom wanted him to, eat more foods, and he wasn't eating the foods. And I told him he had to eat it, and he like cried and was like, "Oh, I'm a bad guy." But then my niece came, and I found that I had a much harder time disciplining a girl than I did a boy, because I don't know, I just easily folded to her. And my wife goes, "She can't act like that. You got to go tell her, go take her phone away." And I was like, "Okay." And I went to the other room and I go, "You got to give me your phone." And she went, "You can't take my phone. My dad bought this phone." And I went, "One second." And I went back to the other room and I went, she says I can't take her phone. Her dad got it for her." I just was like, I don't know
Wait
what
a
to tell you.
second.
She makes a
I'm
compelling argument.
confused. How old are these children?
At the time, they were probably like 9 and 10.
Okay. Go ahead, Kyle, as a parent.
I have two questions, and then I'll tell you how I would have approached that situation. One, what is the connection to the niece? Is it like your brother, or is it like
I'm her uncle.
no? No, but you know what I mean. Like, is this on your wife's side, or is this like your brother's kids?
Yeah. I don't understand why that should matter at all. But my wife's
Perfect.
sister's
Okay.
children.
And then two, my response would have been, well,
I mean, I wasn't going to be like, "Smack my bitch."
No,
the
answer is, okay, that's great for you, but as under 18, you can't legally own anything. So if your mom says I can take your phone if you're misbehaving, then I'm taking your phone.
Yeah, it was heat of the moment, Kyle.
Yeah.
Sometimes we slip up, and you know what? She caught me.
She
that
got
time.
you.
She got me good. I just didn't expect any response, and the fact that she had a retort, I was like,
But that's Gab's
Okay.
point. I think it's a really good indicator of, like, it is one of the aspects of parenting in the like how it's, I'm going to say, devolved because of like social media and all these things, and like
Kyle,
access.
I want to interrupt you. I'm so
Yes.
sorry. How old are your kids?
Melody is 6 and Sawyer is 4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And like, clearly, like, so I'm going to bring it back to the movie so Dylan doesn't get mad at us, which is that like Charles, to our knowledge, is a single parent, right? Because he's dated April, right? Like, that's, the movie gives an indication there's a backstory. So he's a single parent. It's not like, I have friends who work in the entertainment business, not in news, but in sports. And those are late nights. Maybe he's only with a babysitter. Like, I don't think Charles is deliberately like, I'm going to be a terrible dad. But as somebody who's like, my wife, she's a nurse. Right now, she's at work. I had to put the kids to bed. Like, you're doing a lot of things on your own. I think why Danny acts out the way he does It's because the only attention he seems to be getting from Charles is negative attention.
Yeah.
I literally say this to my kids. Like, they'll be doing something and I'll be like, okay, I'm trying to make dinner. I'd love to see what you're doing right now, but I can't because like there's something in a pan or in the oven or whatever. And if they continue to not listen, it's like, okay, well, do you want bad attention from me or do you want good attention? Because if you're deliberately not going to listen to me, you're going to get attention. It's not going to be the dad you want to be seeing what you're doing. So
Wow.
I can wait. If you can wait for me, I'd love to see, or whatever. Or if I'm literally doing a task, like Charles is clearly not paying attention. He's just freaking horny for April and pays no attention to Danny till he screws something up.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't wait to hit my wife with which husband do you want right now?
No, it works for children and children alone. I've never pulled that one with my wife. And I think one of the turning points for this is, like, back to the movie, is April starts paying attention to Danny. Casey's around, and everything, like, it's that interaction they have. And you talked about Splinter being a role model in your SAT essay. Like, Splinter literally turns Danny around. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like, and he's like, "I know you," because there's the time when they hide in April's apartment. So he gets exposed to, oh my God, there are giant turtles living around. And I think what works so well about this movie is it is a small cast like that. If there was like 9 kids and April had like, there's like what, 5 humans in the whole movie who we actually get to know the names. Mate.
There's maybe like 3 that really matter. Casey, Danny, and April. Like I don't even know Charles really mattered. I wouldn't remember his name if you weren't saying it. Just I'd be like,
and there's police guy. And then you've got Shredder and Tatso, whose name I had to look up because I can never remember it. And I think that's what really, like, we're in opinions. What really works for this movie is it wasn't trying to be like, let's remember Batman came out the year before, 1989. And this was really what was starting like the modern, saying modern makes me feel so old, but it's not modern anymore. But this era of superhero films or comic book characters, and this didn't get that chance. It had to be made independently, and it feels much more insular because it is a smaller movie. And it being, as much as it introduces like the concept of why the turtles exist, like it is kind of their origin story, which is like they learn to say cowabunga, they learn to work as a team, and you get legitimate relationships between all the characters. With Casey and April's the dynamic, they're like, well, we're the hot single people in this weird turtle family we've now created.
Listen, we can't have these turtles want to have sex with these humans. We got to have 2 humans for
Turtle
each other.
wax, love that bit. It's super funny. And then the way that the relationships evolve, like, even though they're all grown men in the way they sound, because this is pretty typical for the Ninja Turtles outside of Mutant Mayhem when they're actually voiced by children, where the 4 brothers' relationships change, right? Like they're kind of introduced to us in the versions we know them of. Like I said earlier, they all have a thing they do, but the real conflict is between Raph and Leo, which it always is. And I'm sure like it would affect somebody realistically, which is it takes Raph nearly dying for him and Leo to really connect. And I think that's awesome. Like it so easily could just be dudes in turtle suits fighting ninjas, the end. Like that, a movie like that would exist. They made things like that where clearly the effort wasn't involved. Masters of the Universe, as an example.
That's exactly what I was
right?
thinking.
Where
Me too.
It's a great example of and quite frankly, that genre wasn't good, or that franchise wasn't good until Netflix remade it with Kevin Smith. But like the action in this is awesome. It's all practical, which is incredible. Like these suits allegedly weighed like 40 to 50 pounds because it's
the non-stunt version of the suits weighed 70 pounds.
Right? And like the stunt ones would have had all the animatronics not in the head so they could not lose their balance and whatnot. But they're using their weapons, which became less frequent in the cartoon, and they never really used them again in the live action version in this film. And I like this film, similar to when we talked about Great Mouse Detective. Like it's so specific that there's so many things around this that aren't like this.
Yeah.
I think what I also appreciate is it could easily get bogged down in really being about the origin. which we're saying that it's the origin, but there's really like 3 minutes devoted to the actual origin of like, here's them young, here's Splinter young, here's how Splinter got here, how Shredder got here. Otherwise, this movie is really just about relationships, and I think that's what makes it work exceptionally well to me. Is that it's just about the characters, it's just about the relationships, because there's a lot of movies now that are in this realm where so much of it is origin and how did they get this, and you know how did Wolverine get his claws? Check, you got to wait an hour in to find that out. And it's like, for a movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we very quickly get teenage mutants who are ninjas and also turtles. You know what I mean?
Question.
Yes.
I don't fully understand Casey. Who is he? Why is he?
He's poor Batman.
Well, no, I would say he's poor Punisher, if anything.
He can't even afford guns. He's very poor Punisher.
No, well, okay. So this is not in the movie, and this is it changes, the details change, but essentially like Casey's family were roughed up by a version of the Foot Clan, like for protection money, and eventually Casey's family was killed by the Foot Clan. Sometimes it's the gang that works under the Foot Clan called the Purple Dragons. Sometimes it's just the Foot Clan.
Purple Dragons just like, I'm like, that's so close to dodgeball that I'm just thinking of White Goodman. Like,
No. Blade, laser, blazer.
They got lasers and blazes and all
By
kinds
fitness
of A's.
consigliere Michelle.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, great. And I'm gonna say it, and I don't know if either one of you are like man enough to say it, so I'll say it. The animatronic rat all tied up made me really emotional.
Yeah, of course it did.
I was going to say it in the facts, but one of the things that works so well about that is the director told them, he was like, we have to make sure, I want it to look like he is sweating. I want there to be water. I want his eyes to be watering, like he has either cried, been crying, whatever it may be. And they kept telling him, they were like, this is a latex suit. It's going to get fucked up if we do that. And he went, I know it is. We only have to do it a couple times. It's worth it. And I will tell you, it is so worth it, because as a child, I remember the emotion coming from this animatronic fake ass rat motherfucker. And you feel so
Well,
bad.
everything's played
thinking, like,
straight. Right? There's
Yes.
no like tongue in cheek, like, isn't this funny? Like, no, their father has been taken from them and abused by the Foot Clan.
Oh, it's awful. And I just kept thinking, like, how is this the same technology that made like the Chuck E. Cheese band? And I'm sitting here on the verge of tears.
Well, in Shredder, there's a really great moment at the end. Shredder goes, kill the rat, and he just leaves. So I don't know if he's telling them this and he knows it to be true or doesn't know it to be true. But when they're fighting later and he's like, Kyle, you might remember the exact wording that he says about Splinter. They ask, like, this guy knows where Splinter was. And he's like, oh, you knew the rat? Like he clearly hits them with like the dead rat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shredder, for a guy who's not on screen much, he is like a much lesser version of Darth Vader. You know what I mean? Where Gab's giving me
Don't
such
say
a
that
look.
too
I
loud.
just
Corey
mean in
will
the
come in
sense-
and start defending him because you know what he is.
he's an Empire supporter.
Sympathizer.
I just mean in the sense that he is this masked figure who, if you look back at A New Hope, we know very little about and is just this commanding presence. And that's all he has to be, because this movie is really not about the bad guy. Like, the bad guy, sure, it helps that he's interesting looking. It's about the turtles and their relationships. Let me talk about a scene that has stuck with me so damn much in this movie. And we didn't address the origins that much, but we have that scene of Splinter explaining finding the turtles. I literally, like, my wife will be, what do you want for dinner? And I'll go, pizza, pizza, pizza. I quote that little baby turtle, which I don't know who the baby turtle voice is, but the baby turtle going, pizza, is one of my favorite moments in movie
I like
history.
the jump off of that where it's like radical, radical, radical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a radical rat. I also like how there's a couple things I noticed in this that I didn't notice when I watched it as a kid. When Michelangelo is having his fellow chucker moment with the foot guy, I appreciate that everyone else is like,
we're backing
hold
up.
Let him do it. We got to see who wins the nunchuck
That's
battle.
what I'm saying. Like, it's like, it's a movie that has to introduce everything, but every character gets their little moments. Like, oh, how are we going to show that Raphael's like this blockheaded? He's just going to be like training on the roof, like with no abandon or anything. Like, clearly just doesn't care about not being seen at this point. Although I love his trench coat outfit and the fact that he goes to see critters in the film.
I also love that in New York, almost nobody notices him. He's just
Yeah.
out in public and like
Yeah.
nobody cares.
And then we get the nunchuck moment. That is one of my favorite ones. And then like everybody, Casey showing up. One thing we haven't talked about yet, and forever, because I don't think it actually was produced as a cassette tape or a CD. The soundtrack for this is low key amazing. Like if you were to the score, yes, if you were just to play the score, I could tell you exactly what's happening in the movie. Yeah.
Yep, that lives in my brain.
Yeah.
I also the same scene with the nunchuck fight. I wrote down, this is disrespectful as hell. They play on a piano with Donatello's head,
but it's
because it's one of those cutaways where they just stop and you just see Donatello's head being thrown.
But it's the brilliance of it, which is something that I like to talk about the Wall-E episode. It's like the balance of this, because it's treated so straight. It's not like, oh, this is hilarious, like tongue in cheek, as I said before. It allows for the genuine humor moments to legitimately be funny. Like in the same antique shop fight or pawn shop or whatever, like Michelangelo's, like I trained with nunchucks. So it's like, that was another thing when I was getting my black belt, but him just spinning them on his finger like a basketball. It's like every little moment is played perfectly for humor. Like Donnie and Casey working on the truck back at the farm.
Well, it's also, I think what you're talking about too is we're never laughing at the concept of the turtles. We're laughing with them in the things that like they're finding funny too.
I have something to say about nunchucks.
You know, it's never the movie going, isn't this silly? What do you
They're
have to say about
stupid.
nunchucks? What do you got?
First of all, like I'll break the glass ceiling. Nunchucks are not as effective as like a bat.
So I said to Corey, I'm gonna hold this thing on this side, and then I'm gonna hit you with the other side. But first, I'm gonna dance with it.
It's the same concept as the boomerang, where it's like, do you want a projectile that you throw and it's coming back at you?
Can you hurt somebody with a boomerang?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, you can hurt somebody with a boomerang. That's what it's made
Okay,
for.
I'm sorry, I phrased that incorrectly. If I throw a boomerang and hit you with it, its flight path ends there. The only way that it's gonna come back to me is if it misses you.
Yes, it does not come back on a direct hit. It's not magic.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I just feel like the nunchucks are just like a baseball bat style weapon, but you have to do a dance with it first.
Well, it's how you're. I was trying to see if I had mine up here, but I don't think I do. But it's what?
I just feel like that's a small
fellow
space
chucker,
to
eh?
be.
That's why they're probably not up here. They're probably in the garage. But it's just the motion. It's like it's a style weapon more than anything else. Like
Sawyer's downstairs right now.
Better. I hope he's asleep. We'll be past his bedtime. But yeah, I'm shocked. I recommended this. I don't remember when Dylan and I were talking about when I was going to come on next, and I suggested this, and I went, okay, it's 93 minutes, so I don't think we'll lose Gab on the runtime. The thing is going to be, can she care about four dudes in green latex and a Muppet rat?
Well, we'll find out. Are there any other major opinions before we find out more about these latex suits?
I have some very minor opinions.
Can you do them quickly?
Of course I can. That's why they're minor. I really like, and I never noticed it before, Casey Jones is chopping vegetables with Leonardo's sword at the farmhouse.
Side note, and I'm complaining about this going too long, but I am going to interrupt you. Every time you guys say Casey Jones, I think of Casey Jost. Brother of Colin Jost.
SNL guy? Oh, Casey Jost is the Impractical Jokers one.
Correct. As you were.
I think of the Grateful Dead song.
I've never thought of a Grateful Dead song in my life.
That's a shame, Gab. That's a shame. It's a shanda, as my grandma would say.
Does he yell Gongola in this? I don't think he does. Casey? Because that's his catchphrase.
No.
That's his catchphrase. Yeah.
What?
He would yell Gongola.
Wait, why?
Why?
Do you know the origin of that? I don't. Does that mean anything? I guess cowabunga doesn't mean
No,
anything.
I mean-
but that's okay. I'm glad they did not go into the gongola. That would have taken me out. And also, I always think that the news boss, it's not that actor, but I always think like if I'm not watching the movie, I think to myself, oh, it's Stephen Tobolowsky, right? Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day. But it's not.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Am I the only one who gets
I
that
got the
vibe from
vibe
him?
too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess Kyle, you got any other strong opinions, or should we get into some facts here?
I want to jump off really quickly on what you said about the Shredder, which is that to me is one of the most impressive things about the movie. He's in like 5 scenes, maybe. And they managed to take what is like he's played for laughs in the cartoon, the 80s cartoon. And he's just scary the whole time. Like the voice by James Sato is fantastic. And the fact that the turtles don't beat him. Right? It's Splinter who beats him. The
Right.
true
Well, it's Splinter who I feel like showing the best use of their
Yeah.
ninjutsu.
literally
Yeah.
uses it for defense. He doesn't. I mean, it would have been impossible and probably would have looked ridiculous because how it would have looked like Kermit the Frog trying to fight a person like, "Woo!" But the fact that he literally he wins with defense is like the most master Splinter thing ever, right? Because we see the mask come off, which is like something people are obsessed with Darth Vader now having his mask broken. Shredder did this first, and he just charges full anger, and Splinter.
Why are you looking? You don't remember Shredder charging
No, I'm
at
just
Splinter?
saying. You said Shredder did it first. 1000% no, he did not. Star Wars came out in the 70s.
That's a good point. Return of the Jedi is
No, but
1983. When
I
he's
would argue
masked.
that's Anakin Skywalker. It's not
Unmasked?
Darth Vader. He's returned to the light side of the Force.
You know what? Gav is right to walk away. You are splitting hairs, good sir.
Moving on.
I meant more in battle, but I agree with you. Yes, Star Wars did do that first, but now in every version of Darth Vader's, like with Disney's Darth Vader, his mask always gets damaged.
Yeah, like in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I
It
know
happened in
happened.
Rebels. It's the other side though. That's the symmetry. It's all about symmetry. Obi-Wan damages one side, Ahsoka did the other, and Luke is the only person who's able to get the whole thing off. So you get all
Was that supposed to be George Lucas?
symmetry.
Okay, because I always think of
It's
it
like
as
poetry, it
rhymes.
rhymes. Yeah.
Kyle, are you an Empire?
You sound a little.
sympathizer?
You sound like Jennifer Coolidge a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can you say as George Lucas? It makes me want a hot dog. real bad.
a hot dog real bad.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Your George Lucas is a good Jennifer.
Are you an
Coolidge.
Empire sympathizer? Answer the question.
Like in Star Wars?
Yeah.
No, they're Nazis.
Okay.
You are a rebel and traitor scum.
Thank you. I've got a real problem with Empire sympathizers. Yeah.
As you should.
All they don't do is this. Like they do everything else.
Yeah, exactly. I hear Corey stirring. I
Right.
think he knows I'm talking about him.
Well, he's the
Yeah,
chief Empire sympathizer.
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Now facts.
I want the truth.
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
Got a lot of fun facts, but I'll start where we normally do with our ratings. IMDb gives this a 6.8 out of 10. On the tomato meter, it has a 42% with an average rating of 6 out of 10, 6 fresh reviews, and 12 rotten. I think because it's a movie from 1990, it doesn't have a lot of
No,
ratings.
but
on
the
it.
way that works is, and I bring this up on my podcast when people ask about, like, I never reference Rotten Tomatoes because I would say 9 out of 10 film viewers who actually look at it don't understand it's a percentage of people who reviewed the film in a positive light. That's what that number is. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, God. No, it's not a
ranking
4.2 out
0
of
to
10.
100.
But only 42% liking this the year after Batman is shocking. Because I would argue this is a more coherent film than Batman 89.
Well, keep in mind, I don't think that, they archive reviews that
No.
well. So I don't think that this is mostly reviews from 1990. I think there's some in there, but I think there's probably a couple guys in 2018 who are like, it's not as good as Mutant Mayhem. I don't know how they time travel to the past to say that from what I just said, but whatever. The audience score gives it an 81% with an average score of 4 out of 5. It had a budget of $13.5 million. It grossed $202 million. The critics' consensus, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is exactly as advertised. One-liners, brawls, and general silliness. Good for the young at heart. irritating for everyone
That's
else.
just wrong.
Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars. He said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is exactly as advertised.
Oh, so it's him.
One-liners, brawls, and general silliness. Good for the young at heart. Irritating for everyone else. I'm going to be honest. I didn't realize until this moment that the critics' consensus is just Roger Ebert.
Rogers, I'm so like, to me, that just it's the epitome of film criticism now, which is I go in with this idea and I want the movie to prove me right. I get this, like we talked about this. This movie has humor when you're laughing with the turtles. It's not zany or silly. Like the whole thing is played, as I said, straight, like serious. This is not a joke. Roger, you're wrong, bud.
I literally had to. I'm wrong. That was not Roger Ebert's description. I think I just copied and pasted the wrong thing, guys. Roger Ebert said the movie is nowhere near as bad as it might have been, and probably is the best possible Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie.
Dylan,
But he did. I have it here. He did give it 2.5.
Yes. Gab, I'm doing the best I can. Okay.
Okay.
Lloyd Bradley from Empire Magazine, a well-rounded, unpretentious, very funny knockabout adventure, subtly blended so that it's fun for all the family. Chris Hicks from the Deseret News, the heroes in a half shell, as they are known, have a built-in following, so movies like this are notoriously lazy. None of the budget seems to go to screenwriters with talent. It is instead spent on creature comforts. It literally says creature comforts.
Is there a question mark?
I hope so.
So you added the question mark.
Creature comforts. Ellipses makes me question. I'm sorry.
Wrong.
And lastly, Rob Gonzalez from Rob's Movie Vault joins the limited but infamous ranks of comic characters who never should have gotten their own live-action movie. Which I also think is just bananas.
I can name you a lot of other things that should have gotten live action.
That shouldn't have?
The Lion King.
Like Masters of the Universe.
That was a good one too. Is that live action? That's the stupid. Like it is.
I just saw the trailer for Mufasa the Lion King, and you know what? Get the fuck out of here with that cash grabby bullshit.
What?
You can look forward to the review on Film Reelists on. I don't have the date in front of me.
Mufasa.
I was going to say that would be impressive.
That would be.
Yes, they're doing a prequel
Mufasa,
for Mufasa
the Lion King,
and
a prequel to.
I will
Hamlet.
see it. I will see it if there's one moment where I can't remember the monkey's name. Says to him, if he goes, always look out for stampedes, Mufasa. They're the worst thing for lions. It's like if he says some shit like that, I'd be like, all right, I'll buy it.
Stupid.
That episode will be available December 23rd.
I'll be ready. That's my Christmas gift.
Some Letterboxd reviews now. Adam Bolt. This movie genuinely makes damn sound like the coolest swear ever.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like that's Raphael. Yeah, Raphael goes hard with the damn.
No, it's the echoing one. Oh, where he's got it.
Oh, when the camera spins around
damn!
him? Oh no, that's
It's
just a
like-
scream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matt Singer. Not sure what blew my mind more. Sam Rockwell's tiny role as a gang member who says with total sincerity, we have a loyalty to the Shredder. We're family. Kevin Clash, aka Elmo, is the puppeteer and voice of Splinter. Or the fact that this is surprisingly good all around. Call it a 3-way tie.
It's Elmo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
should I keep going with the letterbox? I feel like you need to collect
I'm
yourself.
processing. Okay.
Eric Ziska. The costumes and puppets are so good in this, it's proof we shouldn't ever fuck with computers that much. When the AI movies hit, remember this golden age. Also legitimately one of the best New York City set films of all time.
It looks like so you two are the better indicator for this, but like movies in New York now are either, well, look at The Boys, the show on Prime. They're shot here in Toronto, or they go to like Cleveland, I'm pretty sure is where they shot The Avengers. Like New York is tangible and it's gross in this movie.
I feel like it always depends what part of New York you're in, and they're in the parts of New York that should look gross at night. Yes.
Yeah. It's also a very dated situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like that
sure.
anymore.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into the gentrification.
That would be a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Where they're like sneaking around and there's like a Whole Foods and a Bloomingdale's.
The movie was directed by Steve Barron, who was fired at the end of filming, who also directed Boneheads, Coneheads. I don't know why it autocorrected to Boneheads. Really, my note taking is really coming out here not well. He also directed the famous music videos for Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing" and a-ha's "Take on
he
Me."
did. My kids love Money for Nothing.
Oh, me too.
It's such a weird music
Oh.
video. The screenplay, also a song that, thank goodness we have the edited version, randomly is like time for the verse where we say the F word
They do?
nonstop. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you listen to the full version of Money for Nothing, you're like, whoa, what's going
But
on
it's never
here?
used. When it's in a movie, obviously it's the edited version. So
Yes.
Wait a second.
I'm just
Not
saying,
fuck.
I used to listen
The
to that
other
full
F
version
word,
like,
right?
no.
Mhm.
Yes.
And are they referring to, are they describing
Yes.
someone?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. You'll look that up afterwards. The screenplay was by Bobby Herbeck and Todd W. Langen, who also wrote for the TV shows The Wonder Years, Small Wonder, The Jeffersons, and Different Strokes.
Great.
Which my computer also corrected to Different Stories, which is not a thing.
No.
So thanks for that.
Different Stories would be a terrible television show.
You might as well call it Things Happen.
Or like it starts with like a family in Southern California going through, the memories from their grandparents' old house that they had to sell after they died. And then the second half of the episode is like a black family in Chicago struggles to pay the bills. It's just two different stories.
Yeah. Different Stories.
I think we're onto something.
The movie stars Judith Hoag as April O'Neil, who you may know from Hitchcock, Armageddon, or if you're around our age, as the mom from Halloween Town. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones, who you may know from Shutter Island, The Fourth Kind, and Contact. Josh Peiss as Raphael, who you may know from Joker and Law & Order SVU. He was the ADA dude for a while. Brian Tochi as the voice of Leonardo, who you may know from Revenge of the Nerds and the Police Academy films, with David Foreman in the suit as Leonardo. Corey Feldman as the voice of Donatello, who you may know from The Goonies and The Lost Boys, with Leif Tilden in the suit. Robbie Rist as the voice of Michelangelo, who you may know as Cousin Oliver from the Brady Bunch, and as Choji Akamichi from Naruto, with Michelin Sisti in the suit, and Kevin Clash as the voice of Splinter, who you may better know as Elmo, with James Saito as the Shredder, and Sam Rockwell, of course, as Head Thug.
Elmo. That's blowing my mind.
The voice versatility on anybody who has or will be a Muppet is always incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody says that voice acting isn't acting, you check out Elmo and you check out Shredder.
Splinter.
Yeah, why did I go back there?
Splinter. Yeah.
And you tell me.
I hate that they did that. They couldn't have named one of them like.
Well, do you want to explain why?
Yeah, I do.
So are we doing trivia now? Because that's probably that's.
Oh yeah, we're about to get into the fun facts. So you go right ahead with that one.
I mentioned the parody on Daredevil. So in Daredevil, the evil clan from Japan is the Hand, and Matt Murdock / Daredevil's trainer's name was Stick.
The Turtles, it's Splinter, and they fight the foot. In addition to Stick and in addition to the Hand clan, Matt Murdock, how does he get blinded? Do you know, Gab?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Kyle, how does Matt Murdock
He gets blinded by a truck full of chemicals or ooze.
And that ooze then leaks into the sewer, landing on some motherfucking turtles.
I don't think they've officially ever done a crossover, which is quite disappointing. They've done stuff with like Batman and the Power Rangers, but
yeah, I guess that's just a company money people.
Well, yeah, they've never been owned by the same people.
Yeah, I do love those connections though, and once it's pointed out, I feel like I never could see it. Robin Williams was a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles and flew down to come to the premiere and support Judith Hoag. They were working together on Cadillac Man when she got the part, and he was a big fan and told her all about it so that she would know what to think of April O'Neil.
That's nice.
After being turned down by the studios, it went on to become the highest grossing independent film ever until the Blair Witch Project.
What a shame.
One of them is,
I think that's
well,
impressive.
yeah, it was like what, it's like 12 or 13 million and it grossed like 200 or something. It's like a
13.5 million grossed 200.
Yeah, that's maddening.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stuntmen talked about they would lose up to 6 pounds a day being in the suits.
Can I get one of those?
One of the early ideas that was floated around was that the film would follow a similar approach to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where the actors would be interacting with animated versions of the turtles, and that would have been bad.
They did it in 2014 and 2017.
I don't think that would have worked well. Yeah,
You don't like Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
No, I meant the live
I love
action
Who Framed
Turtles
Roger
films
Rabbit.
when the turtles are CGI and the people are people. I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I think it's a really underrated Robert Zemeckis film.
I think it's a great movie.
How dare you?
I love it. I just want to make sure you two love it.
I've never been scared than seeing a shoe put into a vat of acid.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Barrel of acid.
Like this. When Raphael gets knocked into the trash can by Casey Jones, the face and the animatronics inside the head caved in and broke the stuntman's nose. As Ralph gets up from the trash can, he can be seen grabbing his nose area before the shot cuts.
Do you have the Donatello one in here? Because when I finally saw it, gave me nightmares.
Oh, are you talking about when Donatello screams and you can see the
You
person
see
inside
the
suit?
eyeballs of the guy.
Yeah.
Here,
It's
Gab,
freaky
I'll share it
looking.
in chat.
Yeah, please.
I'll keep saying other facts while you pull it up. Josh Pais, who played Raphael, and he was the only actor in the suit and the voice, suffers from claustrophobia. After each of Raphael's scenes, he would have to take the helmet off as quickly as possible.
Why would you do it?
Editor
then?
Sally Mankey.
Sorry, I was yawning.
For money.
Fine.
Editor Sally Mankey, primarily known for her collaborations with Quentin Tarantino, made her feature film debut working on this film.
I hate that.
Not Sally Mankey. It's that Kyle just shared the photo.
Oh,
of
sorry.
Donatello
I
where
forget
you
we're
can
in a
see inside the
podcast.
head.
It's awful.
It's freaky looking.
It looks like the same thing from, do you guys see Malignant? The horror film that came out? It's like
Yes.
the back of the head thing. It's like that. It's awful.
So what is that? That's his eyes and what's
Yeah,
in the
'cause
middle?
That's his teeth, because some of it changed, like some of it was animatronic, but also to get the mouth open, you're essentially biting on a mouth guard to get the flaps.
Oh, to be like,
So I guess when he went his head back, it's just it's
Yeah, there's only one or two times where you can see something like that, and it's very quick. I've never noticed it without seeing a still like that. I've never been watching the movie.
meme is what made me realize that happens.
Yeah. There's also photos of what the costumes look like now as they've degraded over time, and they're so sad
where are
looking.
they?
It's terribly sad. I think one of the creators has one of the suits that he got from when they were filming it, but I think a lot of them are just like, up for prop collectors. There's a bunch of the suits that you can, I think.
None of them
get
are in like
somewhere.
the Smithsonian?
I think one of them.
But they've changed over time. Like we're not going to get into all three films. Like by the third film, it was a completely different design and style.
Oh God.
Yeah, the suits are very different for each movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, latex doesn't hold up over
No,
time.
this
that
is
well.
my favorite one. The Leo face is just hilarious. His lips are gone.
I've seen this one.
Yeah.
This is the one I've seen the most. He looks cracked out.
Yeah.
It's not a good look
He
for
didn't get
Leo.
into the gentrification part of New York. He stayed.
Leo joined up with
Leo
the Klan,
needs
yeah,
a
for
hit.
Sure. He's traded in with a sword for some syringes.
Exactly.
Yeah. In the 1980s, the first pitch Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird got for a film treatment was from Roger Corman's New World Pictures. The idea was to have the turtles played by 4 comedians who were popular at the time: Sam Kinison, Bobcat Goldthwait, Gallagher, and Billy Crystal. The actors would have been dressed in turtle shells and have their arms and legs painted green.
You know,
Goodbye.
sometimes life is fair and it doesn't give you things like that.
Sometimes you live in the right dimension.
Like Bill Cosby, who would he have been? He had
God.
Raphael, right?
We know now that he
Yeah,
was
true. No, he was Tatso.
Oh God. This is the first time that the turtles used their shortened names: Leo for Leonardo, Donnie for Donatello, Raph for Raphael, and Mikey for Michelangelo.
And
which they generally refer to themselves in every incarnation but the original comics and the 87
well,
show.
and this was a great amalgamation of the comics and the live action, or the comics and the 80s cartoon, because like I don't know if either of you know this, but in the original comics they were in black and white, and all the bandanas were red. They all had red. And then it was for the 80s cartoon to help differentiate each turtle. They got, well, I mean, they have their letter on their belt buckle, and then they all got different colors and more.
It's a good thing the movie goes with that.
Well,
'cause it would
it's
be
going off
terrible
of
to
what
have
was
them all the same
popular, but the
color.
irony is, and we talked about the box office, by 1990, the Turtles brand was kind of on the decline. It's always been one of those intellectual properties that like does amazing and then just kind of drifts away. Like the whole franchise is like that. It's really interesting. Like it's never just like hot forever.
The 4 turtles are named after artists of the Italian Renaissance. We're going to skip right past that. We don't need to say more. In the original ending, after the turtles have defeated the Shredder and they are celebrating on the rooftop, a scene was to follow where April and Danny go to a comic book publisher to pitch an idea of walking, talking turtles. The publisher rejects the idea, thinking it's too far-fetched. All the while, unknown to him, the turtles are watching through the building's window.
Don't need it.
That's like a Kevin Smith bit from Now.
You can find the clip online of them doing that. And honestly, like, it's fine, but it's like, you know what? The movie's tight enough as is. You don't need to add that fat. The movie is tight enough as is, but this episode is not. So let's make it a little bit longer with some mail.
Mail.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
We have a couple of emails, both from people who I don't think have emailed in before. The email lists the name as Legacy Allen, which sounds very made up.
Well, yes.
They said, took some time away after catching up to jump on the Pat Wagon to listen through some of Movies to Watch Before You Die, and I enjoyed.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
We are siphoning off 1% of their podcast audience, so we really need them to get massive.
Yes, please blow up.
I do have a couple suggestions. Both are wildly different than each other, but they're 2 movies that I just have a strange personal affinity towards. Number 1, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I heard that was weird.
You never saw it?
No.
I don't know why. I thought we had both agreed that, like, oh, that's obvious. Like, we can't do that. I mean, it did win Best Picture, but I think we've done other Best Picture winners before.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It feels a little obvious, but maybe we'll do it at some point.
Yeah, I'd be down.
And I did rewatch it once. I cried a little bit in the movie theater.
Oh.
It was like me, Giselle, and our friend Steve. And I think all 3 of us were like, no, I cried a little bit at that part too.
Is it sad?
It's kind of everything. Well, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
No, but it mixes a lot of genres really well.
Okay.
And I do think the only thing I noticed is when I rewatched it at home, I was like, you know what? This movie definitely feels a little bit long, but I think that's okay because it wraps it all up very well.
Yeah.
Continuing. And the other recommendation they had was Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which seems way more up my alley than yours.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, that's a maybe.
Wait, so Batman versus the Ninja Turtles? Aren't they both good guys?
I imagine it's one of those things where they're enemies and then they team up. Like where they're like, oh, we can't listen to each other because we got to just hit each other with our fists first. And then halfway through, they're like, oh, wait, you're actually really cool. And it turns out the Shredder and the Joker are dicks.
Yeah. That's a very boy thing.
And then they realize all of their moms have the same name. You don't get that reference, do you?
No, I don't.
Wow.
What's the reference?
Batman v Superman, where, Batman and Superman are fighting and they're like, we gotta save Martha. And he's like, why did you say that name? Because they're both
of their mom's name are Martha?
Both of their names are Martha.
On purpose?
I mean, I don't think the people who wrote the comics like collaborated on that, but yeah, like 70, 80 years ago, they both named the moms Martha, I guess. It was a very stupid part of a movie, though.
Yeah, that is dumb.
In a movie that is pretty bad.
Why were you surprised that I didn't understand that reference?
I don't know. It was a very big movie. I thought you saw it.
No,
I don't know why.
I haven't seen Jaws. That was a big movie too.
You've seen a lot of shit that's way worse than Jaws, okay?
Was it this podcast where we learned that the shark in Finding Nemo is named Bruce after the shark, the fake shark from Jaws?
I think that might have been in this episode.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway.
We have one other email. Thank you for emailing.
Thank you, Legacy.
I don't know how it comes up with these because this does not match. Like, I'm not going to read the person's actual email off, but the name comes up as Louisiana Purchase.
That is fucking incredible.
So I guess let's go to the Louisiana Purchase. Is Rudy inspiration porn? Hello, film friends, Hello, film friends, film flams? Try saying that 4 times fast. Oh boy, an Indiana classic. When I was growing up in rural Indiana, this movie was in constant rotation in just about every school I went to. This and Hoosiers played all the time. Plus October Sky, which doesn't even take place in Indiana, but we watched it anyway. I saw this movie once a year, if not more. Didn't I feel like Scotty mentioned October Sky once, and I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know
he
what
did.
the hell that is.
I confused it with Vanilla Sky.
You did.
Mhm.
Okay. I saw this movie once a year, if not more. My dad loves this movie. My dad loves Notre Dame football. It's in all caps, so you can't tell.
Okay.
This is a dad trademark movie. All my friends' dads growing up loved this movie. But is this inspiration porn? Rudy isn't technically, quotes, disabled, but he still has the hallmark of, air quotes, person going above and beyond even able-bodied people in order to be accepted, end quotes. I don't know, but I always felt off about this movie. But I'm just some guy. Regardless, that's not true. You're the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah.
Give yourself
And I
some
have
credit.
never agreed with a piece of legislation more.
Regardless, I've never been a sports guy. I like winter sports, not whatever American football is qualified as. A fall sport, a fall
Are
winter
you
sport.
not American, Mr. I grew up in rural Indiana?
Wait, what? They just said
He
whatever
said-
American football is qualified as?
Yeah.
Maybe they
It's
like
just
soccer.
it's
Maybe
just
they like
football
football.
here. Football?
Yeah, football.
Yeah.
I'm with Gab on this ruling. It just seems kind of mean. Like, yeah, don't give up on your dreams, but also don't get abused by people for it. You're worth more, Rudy, baby.
Yeah. And also, like, don't make it everybody else's fucking problem.
Just let me watch my masturbatory inspiration porn in peace, damn you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Watch it. Enjoy.
I really like the podcast and love talking about movies. I have a big backlog of the podcast to listen to, but I'm excited about it. I look forward to more emails from the Louisiana Purchase.
Yes. Thank you so much, Louisiana Purchase.
To be followed up by the War of 1812.
Is that true?
No, the Louisiana Purchase was after that, I believe.
I have abso-fucking-lutely no idea.
These are not things I've had to think about in a long time.
Right.
Let me look that up. Okay.
Actually,
the Louisiana Purchase was 1803. When was the War of 1812?
oh, good question. I don't know. You got to Google it. You know, this morning, Corey and I were talking. I know this person, and I'm not going to give any more details than this, but I know this person. I actually know many people that this could apply to. And if for some reason you're listening, it's not you. But I know an adult woman who is a physical therapist. And she's probably like just under our mom's age. And I know her because she is somebody that I train. And she has no idea what she's talking about. And so Corey and I were discussing how you can go to college and become something and then just like let the information leave you and just become completely void of knowledge of your field. Like, I don't remember anything I learned in college, and I'm at least 20 years younger than this person. So it's really scary. Like, you will go to a doctor and that person will not have cracked open a textbook in 50 years. And they're just like, yep, it's pneumonia.
Well, that is 100% true. You know, I feel like we say that over here sometimes, that it's like, just because you're college educated on something does not mean you're necessarily as smart as you think you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like the
Like,
longer away
I'm very
college
dumb.
gets. Me too. Me too.
Where was I? Oh, we got to finish up what Louisiana Purchase was saying.
Oh, yes. Finish Louisiana.
My movie to watch before you die is definitely Paprika by Satoshi Kon, which I've heard of before and is supposedly very good.
Paprika, like the character from Blue's Clues?
Is that a character from Blue's Clues?
Dylan.
The only thing I
There
remember about
was-
Blue's Clues is Steve.
Mr. Salt, Mrs. Pepper. They had a baby named Paprika. There was Slippery Soap, which I love to say Slippery Slope because I guess I'm always talking about the consequences.
Boy, in Blue's Clues, when they said you're going down a slippery slope, it did not sound right.
Oh boy.
Not you, Mrs. Pepper.
Mr. Pepper.
Oh.
Yeah. Mrs. Salt.
Where were we? Really, anything by Satoshi Kon. I have a huge Perfect Blue poster in my art studio, and I watch Tokyo Godfathers every Christmas. Another more traditional movie would be The Prestige. which I wish I could watch for the first time again. Have you seen The Prestige?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Giselle was very annoyed by the fact that I made her watch it after I saw it. I was like, you gotta see this movie. I do that a lot, but
Yeah.
I did it specifically with this, and she was like, it was fine. I think it's a really good movie.
What's it about? Quickly.
Two competing magicians played by Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. That's the most succinct possible version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite magician? Do you believe in magic?
I don't believe in actual magic, but my favorite magician would be David Blaine.
Not Penn and Teller?
I like Penn and Teller. I'm related to them. It's our cousins.
Oh my God. I think about that at least once a week. Oh, fuck. They were terrible.
What's sad is it's been so long since we've seen them. If you ask me right now, I'm like, what are their actual names? It's Penn and Teller.
You know their actual names. You know their actual names. And I'll tell you what. Teller is gay.
Okay.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
real Teller or cousin Teller?
I cannot. No, only cousin Teller. Real Teller,
okay.
I know, has a wife, but cousin Teller. I think even when cousin Teller was like 6 or 7, I just goes to confirm that you are born this way because we all knew. Interestingly enough, cousin Penn, unclear, may not be.
Fun fact: when I told my this feels like too much to say on the podcast. When I told my parents I lost my virginity, my dad said to me, "Huh, I thought you were gay," and I was like, "Thanks, Dad."
That is, first of all, not nearly as offensive as when your mom told you that she didn't think you were going to be funny.
Boy, no wonder. Why don't I have higher self-esteem? I wonder why.
It's crazy. Meanwhile, Zach has plenty of it.
The self-esteem, not based on the gay thing, based on the funny thing.
Sure. Of course. Yeah.
I feel like Seinfeld. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Oh my God.
Taking a long time to read this email.
All right,
Louisiana Purchase, they said all of that. We were just reading it.
Yeah.
I tend to like cult classics and horror movies. I'm not sure if you should watch any of those before you die, but I could dissect them for hours. Thanks for the movie rees. I think that's a movie series. Movie rees?
Probably Rex. Recommendations.
No, movieries. Movieries.
Oh, I don't know. Typo, perhaps.
And then they put in parentheses, I don't think this works. You were right.
Correct. It does not. Try again.
All right. I guess we should get back to Kyle and hear about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Turtles in a half shell?
Nope.
Heroes in a half shell.
Yep.
Whatever.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Kyle, you should go first. It's your movie.
Well, I wish it was my movie.
Do you still believe it's a movie to watch before you die?
I do. So here's my question for you two. As the guest suggests the movie, you know the answer, right? It'd be weird if I was like, let's watch this. It sucks.
I do that all the time.
Okay, fair.
It's happened to me too. I think only one time where I watched my own movie and went, it's not where like I realized it. I was like,
no, there
okay.
there is a generational thing. Every era does this with where you look at stuff through rose-colored glasses. And why this suits... Oh, actually, wait a minute. We can't go into opinions yet. We can't...
Verdicts, you mean?
We can't go into verdicts.
Why?
Because so Gab, the Turtles costumes were developed by the Jim Henson Creature Shop. And this is the Muppets. And this is the last film that Jim Henson personally worked on before he died. And so can I tell you a little inside baseball? So there's a documentary about Jim Henson on Disney Plus right now. It's very well put together, but it doesn't talk about turtles. And that drove me crazy.
I'm so sorry.
Because it talks about Labyrinth. It talks about Dark Crystal. No love to my turtles.
Dark Crystal. Bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
His brother, Brian Henson, was actually the second unit director on the movie.
And okay, so verdict for Ninja Turtles. I think why this is a movie to watch before you die. There are so many iterations of all these popular, I mean, calling them brands and intellectual property feels so gross, but that is how they are treated. These comic book characters. And
is this content to watch before you die?
I had to make 4 trailer reaction videos yesterday, and I felt so gross. But I was like, I gotta do it. Yeah. Sorry. And a similar relationship that I have with James Bond is like whatever version you get as your first impression kind of paints how I look at the rest of it. I saw Sean Connery before I saw Pierce Brosnan, which is the irony of it being in the 90s. But seeing this version of the Turtles where they're treated with a mature lens, tonally, respectfully, not played for laughs, and all as much as it's simplistic in nature, I think that works for a film that's trying to get a point across to treat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles seriously, right? Each character is given their time, which is something, again, you're introducing 4 main leads and then at least 3 or 4 supporting characters. It has Shredder be an actual menace and intimidating villain, even though his outfit is absolutely ridiculous. And I love the fact they kept the purple or almost the raspberry color for his uniforms, which are from the 87 show. I talked about this when I saw Fall Guy earlier this year, which is practicality in the action realm of filmmaking. It's going away, unfortunately. Like you have your John Wicks, but actual supremely talented martial artists and stuntmen showed what was capable with actual human beings in these incredibly large costumes and make them believable, regardless of it being silly, because we all know they're not there. But Gab said it in Opinions. You buy what's going on. You feel emotion for these characters. And some of that, I think, comes from the stillness at times. Like Splinter doesn't do a whole lot when he's tied up. It's done through the voice and the limited movement that puppet was capable of. And a lot of ingenuity comes from problems. Jaws, a movie Gab has never seen, the animatronic known as Bruce, that's what his name was. That's why the great white shark in Finding Nemo was called Bruce, because that was the name of the animatronic in Jaws. There you go. There's a fun fact. Wasn't working. He was supposed to be in the movie way more, but then Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest directors of film history, goes, okay, well, we have to make this work. We're going to do it with tension. And in this, the simplicity works so well, but at the same time, you're laughing and you care. And there's a lot of movies from our childhood. I watch back, I'm like, oh, this is so dumb. Like, I loved it as a kid, but it's not treated with respect. It's just made for children. And that's something that we get a lot now. I saw Despicable Me 4 last week. Hot garbage. But when you are treating your audience with respect, I don't think this is I've gotten more out of this as I've grown up because they made Rachel and Casey adults. And I give this movie a lot of credit. It would have been really easy at the time to sexualize April, unintentional or not, as she was in the 80s cartoon. She was a bust in a yellow jumpsuit, for lack of a better description. And she actually has a relationship with Casey in this, right? Like it's not just like, oh, there's the chick. Like she has relationships with her creepy boss, and she is a positive role model for Danny. And then you get the comic relief with all 4 turtles and Casey Jones. So all of the elements of this work so well. Is it like this bombastic spectacle? No, but there are few films from 80 to the end of the 90s that managed to do that. Like, is this the Wire Kung Fu of The Matrix? No, but I actually think that would have hurt the film. So it's just like Great Mouse Detective. It's a distillation of an independent attempt at this comic book brand that wasn't DC and it wasn't Marvel. So it's its own special thing. And with each iteration of the Turtles, in my opinion, this movie looks better and better.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes.
I think you should watch Movie Before Die.
Good.
It's awesome.
All right, I'll go next because I think I'm much more obvious than Gab. This was totally a movie of my childhood, saying I made a funny or pizza, or my brain literally just plays the score on repeat sometimes. And rewatching it, there is a degree of nervousness that if I'm gonna watch this through like a somewhat serious lens, a somewhat critical version of myself, then I'm gonna be like, oh wait, this sucks. And you know what? I was very happily not doing that, where I watched it and, you know, Superman had the tagline, "You'll believe a man can fly." Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles makes you believe in heroes in a half shell, where you are totally bought in on this giant fake rat, on these men in these giant suits. The puppeteering is so good. The suits are great. The, you know, the animatronics are so well done that it just works. Everything about the movie to me works. I think you could probably have a little less Danny. Danny feels like he's a little, we gotta have a kid that the kids can relate to. Kids will only watch something with other kids in it. But otherwise, I think it works really well. And it's not long, it's not drawn out. This podcast episode has probably been longer than the movie itself is. So I would say that it's a movie to watch before you die. Gab, I'm gonna toss it to you.
Listen, I went into this exactly the way you thought I was going to go into it. And I was like, all right, turtle movie. Let's see. Oh, there's men in giant turtle shells. All right, fine. And at first I was like, oh God, this is so dated. Oh, whatever. And then I found myself getting really into it. And then the rat made me cry. And then the rat said, and I won't do the voice because only Kyle can do the voice, but I will say, all fathers care for their sons. And I was like, I'd watch this with my kids. All right. So listen, is it the best movie I've ever seen? No. Am I ever going to watch it again? Probably not for a few years. Is it a movie to watch before you die? Sure.
Woo.
Yeah. Now, can I please
Pizza.
go eat dinner and watch the Mets game in peace?
Are you gonna have
No.
Radical.
Fine. Well, this is Kyle, you're 2 for 3.
I
That's
like this way better than The Mask of Zorro.
Whoa. Okay. Well, if we're talking baseball, I only have to go 1 for 3 lifetime, and I'm a Hall of Famer. So I'm at 60% right, or 66% right now. So I'll take it.
Yeah. That's great.
Very solid. Very
All right.
solid.
He just struck out.
Kyle, do you want to plug your stuff?
Wh-
Stop talking about the Mets. I have to cut that
No,
out,
you
guys.
Is it? No, I love sports pieces in podcasts. I was recording, this is a year ago, a year ago in June. And one of my buddies, he lives in Colorado, and he was watching the Denver Nuggets. He's like, hey man, depending on how long this goes, the Nuggets might win the NBA championship. And so I cut that and I made it a clip. So we're like, he mentions it, and then halfway through talking about Transformers, he's like, and they won. So they make it fun. Somebody will be like, what?
But this is a random game.
But
it's a
still,
random...
somebody will be like, what game were they watching? There is a social media person, and all they do is find out what sporting game was happening in movies or TV. So somebody will do it.
And I do find that impressive.
Yeah.
When?
Kyle,
yes.
plug yourself.
Plug
okay.
yourself.
What day does this come out?
Is
it the 26th?
It is. Yes.
Okay. That's a huge episode. Okay, so if you're listening to this day of release, hi, happy Friday. I will have released on the Monday my review of Twisters and Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. And then on Monday, July 29th, I will be releasing my 100th episode, which will be a review of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, 100. I've had an episode every single day or every single week in 2024. So that'll be a massive episode, which I'm really looking forward to. All the longtime guests of the show are submitting messages, and I don't know what they're saying, but it makes me feel like more than a nobody. It makes me feel like a somebody. So.
Aww.
Oh,
That's nice.
Now should Gab, you need me to plug our things? Because I see you're very not much paying attention.
No,
anymore.
I'm I'm here. If you want to write us an email, you can email us at movies-to-watch-before-you-die@gmail.com. You can send a voice note at anchor.fm/movies-to-watch. You can send me a Venmo. You can check out our friends in the Hall of Pods Podcasting Network in the link tree below or whatever. And you can just fucking straight up have a great day.
Oh,
that did not go where I was expecting it to.
No. Thank you for listening, and hopefully the Mets do well.
Fingers fucking crossed.
And have you no one to go to, Danny? No parent?
My dad could care less about me.
I doubt that is true.
Why?
All fathers care for their sons.
Pizza! Pizza! Radical, radical, radical!